Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you listen in on the new Workday People Experience. My name is Lexi, and I will be your moderator for the webinar today. Before we get started, I'd like to run through the house rules. Everyone is on mute and will remain muted for the duration of the webinar. The chat function is available, so if you have any questions you'd like our experts to answer during the Q&A section at the end of the presentation, please be sure to send those over via chat. If we do not get to your questions, we will follow up as soon as possible after the webinar to make sure we get those questions answered. Additionally, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for playback tomorrow. And with that, I will hand it over to our speaker to take it away. Maggie, it's all yours.
Great, thank you, Lexi. Hi, everyone. So today I'll be discussing the new Workday People Experience. I'm really excited you're all here and hope you find today's presentation useful. So before we begin, as always, please note this safe harbor statement. Today's presentation will contain forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and assumptions as described in Workday's SEC filings. And to start things off, I'd like to take a minute to first talk about collaborative solutions by walking you through this infographic that we have here. So Collaborative is a finance, HR, and student cloud transformation consultancy. We started in 2003, and we're the longest tenured and most experienced partner in the Workday ecosystem. As our name reflects, we work together with our customers and take a truly collaborative approach on all elements of our projects. We have over 800 customers and can proudly say that we have a 98% customer satisfaction rating. Collaborative is a global company, and we've completed deployments in over 125 countries, and we have experience with organizations that range in size from 200 to 200,000 employees. We also have offices throughout North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. So moving through this infographic here, the yellow box in the center here highlights our commitment to change management. And you can also see the green box in the lower right corner shows our all-encompassing offerings that we have, from strategy and planning to post-go-live services and everything in between. Ultimately, our goal is to help build long-term relationships with our customers and help them achieve their transformation goals, no matter what stage of product deployment they're in. The rest of these boxes continue to highlight some of the ways that we set ourselves apart. So we're often referred to as the undisputed alternative to the Big Four. And that's because we are able to take our Big Four knowledge and tools, but combine them with our boutique style flexibility, personalization, and responsiveness to truly stand out among the crowd. We are the longest tenured Workday partner, and we have more experience per consultant than the ecosystem average. And we have over 100 product lead program experts, which is more than any other partner. As you can also see in the lower blue box, we're Workday customers ourselves. So we were numbers 26 for HCM and customer number 3 for financials. And last but not least, on the bottom, we consistently win awards that reflect our fantastic work environment, and we've highlighted a few of them on this slide. All of these awards are based on employee feedback and are a testament to our positive culture, which focuses on innovation, empowerment, and accountability. Aside from having happy employees, this leads to less turnover and a more stable project for our customers. I know I personally love being a collabie and feel really fortunate to work for this company. So now that you know a little bit more about Collaborative, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Maggie Anderson, and I'll be your presenter today. I'm a principal consultant in core HCM and recruiting, and I'm a member of our continuous value services practice, which specializes in post-production Workday support. All right, so now that we've gotten those introductions to myself and collaborative out of the way, we'll move on to our agenda for people experience. So I'm going to start this discussion with an overview of Workday's vision for people experience, and I'll plan to talk a little bit about why people experience was needed and why it was developed. Next, I'll give a quick overview of people experience as a whole before I move on to a more detailed overview of each of the features. And then finally, with time permitting, we'll have some additional discussion and Q&A at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's start by talking about Workday's vision and sort of the why behind the people experience. So to understand why people experience is important in the HR software space, let's start by reviewing some Workday or workplace stats. So first, these stats here in orange outline that employees feel that their engagement, performance, and satisfaction would improve with data-driven feedback. Basically, data and information matters, and not getting it in a timely, accurate, and consumable manner leads to employee dissatisfaction. Second, as you can see in the green box, 44% of information workers are dissatisfied with their workplace software. So to put that bluntly, a lot of people just don't like the HR software experience. Last, in the blue box, if a lack of information and dissatisfaction with workplace software leads to disengaged workers, then those disengaged workers in return lead to higher absenteeism and defects, and also lower productivity and profitability. So ultimately, a good people experience that truly engages workers and provides better access to information could make a huge difference in alleviating these issues. So with that comes people experience. So if I were to ask a lot of you how many of your end users actually use Workday, some of you would probably say not as much as you would like them to. And your system admins and your system users put so much work into making sure Workday is functioning properly and that your data is accurate, but it can be difficult to get your end users to utilize it the way you want them to. Usually they're using it for things like typical necessities such as time entry, expenses, pay slips, things like that. And given the stats we saw on the previous slide, how do we make sure that people experience will make sure end users and not just system users are engaged in Workday's experience? So the first way that people experience aims to solve that is with intuitive self-service. And another way to describe that concept would be the term consumer grade. So consumer grade essentially means that a product is designed with the intent that someone who has little to no training on it can right away know how to interact with it. So think about the apps that you use most often in your personal life, like Facebook, Netflix, Instagram, as well as the software that you utilize most often at work, like Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, and so on. What drives the engagement with those apps? Really, these apps are popular because they're easy to use and they're what you would call consumer grade. So that first one was intuitive self-service. The next way that they aim to solve this problem is with easy access to answers. So if a system is intuitive, people are going to be able to get access to answers to their questions easily. So we want people to be able to get in, get out, and get on with their jobs. And the goal for people experience is to help them obtain the information that they need to be most successful in their jobs. And last, people experience also aims to create an unforgettable experience. So Workday wants people to want to use Workday, and they should be walking away from their experience with, having it be memorable in a good way. So given that background on the why, let's actually dive into the people experience offerings as a whole. So to sum it up, People Experience can be described as a new bundle of Workday functionality that aims to provide an intelligent, engaging, and helpful employee experience across any application. The whole of People Experience consists of 3 key offerings. And Workday Today is the foundational offering of People Experience, and it consists of a few key features such as Workday Cards, Natural Workspaces, Enhanced Search, and Workday Assistant. This part of People Experience is free as part of the HCM subscription, and it was available for early opt-in as of 2020 R1 with qualifications. The next 2 features sort of sit on top of the Workday foundation per se, and these 2 offerings will require the purchase of additional SKUs, and they'll be generally available as of 2020 R2, so later this year. So Workday Answers is the first of those, and it consists of case management, knowledge management, and bot integrations. Workday Moments consists of personalized journeys, custom productivity cards, and additional recommended content. A couple notes that I want to call out if you've been following along with the People Experience since it was announced is that, first, Workday Today technically does not require a signed innovation services agreement, but without it, Workday won't personalize your home and search experience and instead will choose default suggested tasks. A second call out is that Workday was originally not going to charge for the 2 SKUs for Workday Answers and Workday Moments, but they did decide to do so after conducting some extensive consumer research, which led to a broadening of the offering than they had originally anticipated. And then last call out is just that these slides should have the most current terminology, but note that some of this terminology has evolved in the last 2 years, and some of these features are still in development, so they could still be evolving. All right, so let's dive into each of these 3 offerings, starting with Workday Today. So Workday Today is the foundation of People Experience, and it's essentially the new homepage or interface for end users. And it's meant to be a user-friendly way for users to interact with Workday data and experience the power of one. As I mentioned before, it consists of Workday Cards, Enhanced Search, Natural Workspaces, and Workday Assistant. So in looking at this screenshot of the Workday Today home, the first thing you might notice is that search is front and center. So it's the first thing your eyes are drawn to. And instead of just saying search, it says, what are you looking for? Which prompts the user to ask it a question. The true power of Workday Today really comes from machine learning technology, which gives the user timely, relevant, and a personalized experience. So for example, the welcome card is smart in that it says good morning or good afternoon, depending on the time of day. And it suggests tasks that the user performs most often, and it will learn those over time. So in this example, it's request time off and create expense report. And not only can the system pick up on what a particular user uses most often, but it can also determine what times a user may be more likely to use a particular feature. So for example, it may learn that users are more likely to access their payslips on payday, and therefore payslips may show up as a suggestion on that day. So that's a pretty cool feature. Similarly, the frequent apps section that you see is based on what users use most frequently. And then also in this screenshot, you can also see a restyled announcement section, which delivers one major ask that people have been wanting for a long time, embedded video. So that's a huge feature that people are really excited for. And then last, I just want to point out the Workday Assistant icon at the bottom, and that provides easy access to the chatbot feature, which we'll be talking about in a couple slides. So diving a little bit further into the Workday Cards feature, Workday today offers both delivered and custom cards. So some of the delivered cards that Workday is providing are birthdays, anniversaries, give feedback, mentorship, update certifications, time off expenses, pay slips, and create job rec. And you can see a couple of those here. So you have a new pay slip as one of the ones listed. There's a birthday listed there. So some of those delivered ones are kind of mixed in. And then with the Workday Moments add-on, which we'll talk about in later slides, you can actually enable third-party content from external vendors. So the example here is a recognition card from OC Tanner. It's saying that Steve Morgan has recognized you, and that all came from the OC Tanner system. But some other examples that might be helpful are if you wanted to display your employee's HSA balance from your HSA vendor, or maybe information from an external payroll provider, or let them know they've earned an award from an external wellness vendor. So another feature of Workday today is natural workspaces, and this is something that a lot of people are really excited about. So natural workspaces is a feature that allows users to interact with Workday via products that they already use, such as Slack and Microsoft Teams. And the idea here is that these apps are bot integrated, so they can connect to the Workday Assistant feature within their own interfaces. So as an example, if I'm a worker who wants an answer to a question, I could pull up the Teams app and ask the Workday for Teams bot a question like, when can I expect my next paycheck? Or what's my PTO balance? You can also type hi, and the bot will come back with a list of available options. So some of the ones that have popped up here are enter expense, take time off, view time off balance, look up a coworker, learn about shortcuts, and request interview feedback. Currently, this feature is live with Slack, but Teams is expected to be generally available since spring 2020, so should be very shortly here. So building on that a little bit, the last important feature of Workday today is Workday Assistant, so aka the chatbot. And the chatbot is built around the concept of natural language processing, which focuses in particular on how to program computers to process and analyze large amounts of natural language data. So to build this, Workday partnered with customers, and they ended up creating the largest HR and financials conversational data set on the market. The bot allows workers to access the power of one in a user-friendly and really intuitive conversational format that they're used to having when they just reach out to a coworker on Teams or Slack or another chat feature. Down the line on the Workday roadmap, it is also planned for this to be available for developers to integrate this into their own custom applications. So a lot more use cases for this down the road. All right, so that is the Workday Today overview. So let's talk about the second people experience feature, which is Workday Answers. And as a reminder, this feature is sort of built on the Workday Today foundation, so you can't implement this without Workday Today. And it does require the purchase of an additional SKU. So Workday Answers is comprised of knowledge management and case management. So knowledge management, or knowledge base as it's also referred to, is an article and content creation, and publishing feature meant to bring relevant information to end users. So the ultimate goal of this feature is access to knowledge and also case deflection. So in other words, you can use knowledge management to bring up information to end users before they need to open a case or raise a question to a system user. So in fact, the bot that we just talked about can actually suggest articles to users based on questions asked through that Workday Assistant. Some of the features of knowledge management include the ability to have different article settings, such as category, region, and audience. There's an ability to tag articles with certain topics. So you can tag an article as being benefits, being compensation, wellness, so on. You can link to related tasks, reports, and articles from directly in those articles. And then there's also some editing capabilities, such as a draft mode and the ability to set effective dates for articles. So case management is a tool similar to something like a ServiceNow or a Zendesk. And users can actually open cases and route them to appropriate contacts based on case type. So cases can be created from workers from multiple starting points. So one of the Workday Assistant chat, or they can just go into Workday and directly click on their help worklet and create a case from there. So along with case creation, there's going to be a new interface for case solvers called Help Workspace that will allow your admins or your case solvers to have a place to queue and solve open tickets. And some of the features of that include management of confidential or sensitive cases, the ability to tag coworkers or reassign cases to new case solvers. There's an ability to sort cases by SLA or different statuses. And then there's also some case conversation features where you can add internal notes and track activity for a particular ticket. So one of the major benefits of having your knowledge articles directly in Workday is that they'll seamlessly flow with other tasks and actions in Workday because you can include embedded links, videos, attachments, tasks, and reports. So that's one major feature of having these, in Workday versus having them in a SharePoint where you may not be able to link directly to those items. There will also be some enhanced reporting and stats on these features that's available. So for example, Workday workers will be able to provide feedback on individual knowledge-based articles and indicate whether or not they were helpful. And this could be really helpful for your content creators when they're trying to determine if future changes should be made to an article. There's also going to be a help dashboard, which will allow your case solvers or people monitoring case solvers to see the help case data and drill into cases by SLA targets, confidential status, category, so on. So let's take a look at how Workday knowledge-based articles and case management can work together on case deflection. So say I'm a worker who wants to learn a little bit more about benefits, but I'm not sure where to begin. So I go into Workday Answers and I search for benefits as my keyword. So the first thing that happens is I'll get some top results of knowledge-based articles that are related to benefits. And then when I click on one of those articles, I can read it directly within Workday. The article can contain links directly to a Workday report or a Workday task. And then at the end, it can also suggest related articles that may be helpful in answering my question. And it can also show embedded videos for further guidance. And then last, when they're all done, they'll be prompted to answer whether or not the question or the article was helpful, and that'll help to guide the people who wrote this article. You know, if they're getting all no's in the "what was this helpful" answer, then they maybe know that it's time to make some edits to that article. The last thing to note is that after all of those steps, there's still going to be an option to create a case. So if they went through all of those articles and they didn't find the information they were looking for, that's where the case management piece comes in. And they can create a case, assign a topic, and it'll route to the appropriate person based on that information that they input. So that was an overview of Workday Answers. And the last feature of the people experience that we want to talk about is Workday Moments. So this feature also relies on the foundation of Workday today, and it also requires the purchase of an additional SKU. So we talked through a few of the key components of Workday Moments earlier, but in addition to the custom cards and the recommended content, which we reviewed, a major component is personalized journeys. And these journeys are meant to help the end user navigate to materials and actions that they might need when going through a common transition period, such as a new hire, a new manager, a job rotation, maybe a leave of absence, just kind of a new novel experience for that employee. Content in these journeys can be compiled and broken down by items that are important to you or make the most sense to your organization. And you can include anything that might be relevant. So to-do tasks, checklists, learning opportunities, business processes, articles, more embedded videos, or necessary documents. So anything that might be helpful on this journey. You can also include Workday and non-Workday tasks, meaning you can provide links or pull in information from third parties. But ultimately, these are just meant to be highly personalized and have really targeted distribution. So you can support the employees who are going through these periods of transition or new experiences with the information they need during that time. So that's kind of the overview of Workday Moments. To really sum up the previous slides and how these all work together to form people experience, it's essentially just meant to provide a seamless experience and configuration across all three components. So Workday Today, Workday Answers, and Workday Moments. And these three components are tied together with the enhanced search experience that the customer will get when they opt into Workday Today, which is the base experience. All right, so last, let's just revisit the timelines for this people experience rollout. So Workday Today was available for early opt-in in 2020 R1 with qualifications, and it's expected to be generally available with qualifications in 2020 R2, so later this year. And when I say with qualifications, that means that you basically need to let Workday know that you want to uptake this feature, and then they'll let you know if it's possible. Some limitations are just related to language, so right now it's English only, and then also there's some machine learning requirements that they would need to make sure you're eligible for. One thing to note is that this will eventually be mandatory to uptake Workday Today, and that date is currently planned for 2021 R2, so the fall of 2021. Answers and Moments are those additional paid SKUs, and those are available for purchase right now. but they can't be implemented, and they'll be generally available in 2020 R2. So that's when you can actually begin to implement those features. So with that, that concludes my slides for today, and I'd like to open it up to any questions that we might have received.
All right, thank you so much, Maggie. Let's take a look at some of the questions we've gotten. The first question is, how do we opt in to Workday today for 2020 R1?
Okay, so I believe that the early opt-in for 2020 R1 ended, I want to say like a month ago, and those participants were already notified. So I believe it is too late for 2020 R1, but Workday is targeting that general availability for 2020 R2. So again, that's also with qualification. So you would need to let Workday know that you want to uptake that, and they would need to make sure that your organization is a candidate.
Great. Okay, let's look at the next one. Will Workday today have an admin view?
So there hasn't been a lot of information released on what kind of the admin view will look like for Workday today or people experience as a whole, but we do know that some aspects of it are going to look different to admins than end users. So, you know, Workday Answers in particular, they have the interface specifically for case solvers called the Help Workspace, which kind of gives them a behind the scenes view of some of the details of cases. And then also, you know, Workday Moments, they have the article, or I'm sorry, Workday, the knowledge base within Workday Answers, they have kind of an admin view for content creators. So there's going to be like draft modes and things that won't be visible to end users. So we do know that there will be some sort of admin component to this, but we haven't seen screenshots yet of what that would look like. And really a lot of this is still new, so we're still learning about people experience every day. So keep checking the community pages, which we'll provide some links to, so you can kind of get those updates as they come directly from Workday.
Awesome, thank you. Another question that we got is, what languages are supported?
Yeah, so right now it's English only for those who did opt in through 2020 R1. Workday today will be required as of 2021 R2. So they are planning to have all languages configured by that time, and it's going to be kind of a slow rollout from now through that time. So if you are thinking about that opt-in for an earlier period of time, that would be something to consider. That's part of the kind of the qualifications that they reference. If you know, most of your employees right now are not English speaking, then probably not going to be a great candidate for early opt-in because it is only English. So it would be limited to your English speaking workers.
All right, let's see. It looks like we have a few more. Are delivered cards configurable?
So it doesn't appear so, but we might have to wait for Workday on more information on that. You know, there are quite a few standard cards, but we're not quite sure yet if those delivered cards are, you know, if you're going to be able to edit those directly, or maybe if you'll be able to make a copy of those and modify them as you see fit. But there is the ability to create custom cards. So more to come on that one as well.
All right, and then is Workday Answers intended to replace existing case management systems? So
it seems like that was kind of the intention. because it is modeled after, well, not modeled after, but it does have a lot of the same features as, you know, some of the case management systems out there. But I would say just, evaluate your organization's specific needs. So you might find that Workday Answers could replace your existing case management system. You know, as you saw in the demo, or not in the demo, in the presentation, it allows for case creation, case notes, tagging, reassignment, SLAs. So those are all features that you're using now and would be able to transition into Workday Answers, could be a possibility. The added benefit of having the case management system within Workday is that you are able to pull in data from Workday. So one feature that I saw in the demo was, they have little data cards on the side of the case management system where basically if you're answering a case about a particular employee, you can have some details display on the side of the screen for that employee. So those are things that you might not be able to do in your other case management system. So could be some really cool advantages of having Workday Answers in Workday.
Great, and it looks like we have one more question. Is there a size limit for embedded videos?
So that, yes, I do know that one. That one's 20 gigabytes, I believe.
Awesome. All right, well, it looks like that's all the questions we have for now. If anyone has any other questions or anything we missed, we will be sure to follow up as soon as we can after this webinar. Thank you all again for joining.
All right, thank you.